a really exciting event today. So I'll first introduce myself. I'm Carrie Santiago. I am with Aramark Avendra, and I'm also on the FWA Professional Development Committee, which has been extremely exciting. Today, we have for you part two of our two-part career pathing series. Our first part was in October, where we had Aneta and Phaedra as our featured panelists. And today, we are taking a deeper dive on some of those topics on reinventing yourself and really pushing now on beyond boundaries and creating your narrative. So we have three amazing panelists. So I'm going to keep this short and sweet, but I do have a couple of plugs for FWA. Number one, Julie put a link in the chat. We have a beautiful new website. We would love everyone to take a visit. And kind of time bound, we have the merch store open until December 10th, so definitely place your order. I personally ordered an FWA sweatshirt a couple of days ago. So if you haven't finished your Christmas shopping yet, taking a little wink at Ryan there, definitely visit the merch store. You can grab some amazing items. Again, just visit the new website. And then last but not least, there is a playbook where you can download a copy. I think there's also a flip book version there, so we definitely want to encourage everyone to take a look at that when you have a moment. And with that, I'm going to pass it over to our moderator for today. Annette, I'll let you take it away.
All
Thanks
right, thank
everyone
you
for
so
being
much,
here.
Carrie. Thank you very much. Good morning, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to our Building Bold Futures session number 2. Very excited to have our wonderful panelists. So this is going to be a very interactive session. We have 3 distinguished guests, and we definitely want to take advantage of their knowledge, experience, listen to their stories, and get inspired and keep the ball rolling for us and achieving new heights. So with that, again, good afternoon and welcome to Beyond Boundaries, Building Bold Future panel discussion. Today we'll inspire you with our wonderful panelists. I'm just going to go through quick introductions here. So welcome. We have Kathy here, our Aramark Vice President of Senior Living, also U.S. Navy veteran, Six Sigma Black Belt. So with that, I mean, this is a great experience from military service and healthcare operations. As a U.S. Navy veteran, she brings discipline, resilience, commitment to excellence to every endeavor. Her transition to healthcare proceeded by BNI, where she has been marked by passion for improving outcomes, streamlining processes, and building teams with integrity. With a Six Sigma Black Belt certification, Kathy specializes in operation efficiency, reducing waste, employee retention, and implementing data-informed solutions to elevate organizational performance. So, woohoo! Yes. Next up, we have Ryan Sigler. So he's our senior partner at SPEC. SPEC is a female-owned executive search firm specializing in the food and beverage industry. SPEC recruited Ryan to join the team in 2004, due in large part of his successful track of record working with our industry-leading emerging growth companies. His core function areas of expertise include, but are not limited to, sales, marketing, product development, and he places position ranging from the middle management all the way up to the C-suite. So Ryan earned his bachelor's degree in public relations and marketing from the University of Wisconsin-Whitewater. And he is a proud father of 2 daughters. So way to go, Ryan. And our next panelist is Sheely Nash. Sheely is a senior director of sales with 20 years of experience in food service, retail, industrial sales. Sheely holds a master's degree in Central Michigan Michigan University. Her work in sales has been always food focused and food adjacent. We all love food, right? Sheely is passionate about leveraging her soft skills as she was a journalist and copy editor before switching to the sales execution area here. She prides herself on very on her hard skills, which she acquired during her career. She helped propel her through that sales journey. So it's ongoing. And of course, we always wanted to get the best juice from our top leaders. So Shelley is no stranger to reinvention, leveraging all agents of change. And she enjoys traveling, being a cheerleader and a basketball mom, and volunteering at her daughter's school. So Sheely currently is the new Senior Director of Business Development at Legacy Foods and Manufacturing. So, welcome to the panel. Let's get excited. So, team, as I gave that quick introduction on all the panelists, welcome again to our call. I do want to give you a couple minutes to introduce yourselves as well. So, Kathy, can we start with you?
We can. Thank you, Annetta. Thanks to everyone. Good afternoon. So excited to be here. You covered it really well for me, Annetta. My name is Kathy Casaboon. I work for Aramark Senior Life. I'm in the healthcare, long-term care sector. I support the Northeast market. And as Annetta shared, I am a U.S. Navy veteran. I do hold a Black Belt Six Sigma, and my passion is process improvement and continuous improvement. So really excited to be here today. And again, thank you to the whole FWA team for having us and for bringing this about, because I think there's a lot of people out there that say, where do I fit into this whole mix and where can I get direction? And really hoping that today, not even just for the folks that are listening in, but for myself to learn more about where we can go and how we can take our careers. So thanks for having me.
Love it. Thank you so much, Kathy. Ryan, let's go to you next.
Okay, first of all, Kathleen, thank you for your service. My dad and both grandfathers are veterans, and I appreciate it. Annette, I don't know how I can follow up the introduction you already gave me. You made me sound way better than I am, but I'll just add in that I've been a member of FWA and involved in FWA since its inception. I've known Julie long before she founded FWA, and I remember having the conversation with her at President's Conference when she wanted to get my time with this great idea she had, and I've been on board since the very beginning. As you mentioned, we are a female-owned enterprise, as you can tell by all the females working behind me right now. Just
We
kidding.
can't
No,
see them.
they're out to lunch, so I can do this. But and I am a proud girl dad of two daughters, and I not only do the what's on the dad job description. I coach both of them in sports. Empowering women is something that is a personal passion of mine, so I'm happy to be here.
Thank you so much, Ryan. I mean, I am looking forward to learning from you and all our panelists. And Sheila, you're next.
Well, I would say the same. I mean, you pretty much captured everything. I think, number one, thank you for inviting me to the panel. I'm always excited to be able to encourage and provide input on how to embrace change, what that has looked like for me, how it has benefited my life, how I've become a better manager of work and life. And I'm looking forward to just kind of sharing that. I mean, I've worked in food for, over 20 years now. So, and I've worked in every industry within it. So retail, food service, industrial, co-manning. I've been in all of it, and it's been a ride. It's been a very exciting ride. And I look forward to sharing whatever I can to be a help to someone else.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much, Sheila, for your beautiful introduction. So let's get excited. Team, we have a couple of themes today. So first thing we're going to tackle is building your narrative. So as you know, change is difficult. Sometimes it requires stretching. It requires a lot of work. It requires a lot of patience, resilience. So this first question I have will be for Sheila. Sheila, tell me a little bit from your own experience. How do you align your personal values with your career path? Something you can share, real life examples so we can relate to your wonderful experience in this first question.
Thank you for the question. I think in answering that, I would say being able to clearly identify what is needed in this experience, i.e. the role, the company, promotion, is it solely monetary? I mean, obviously we work to make money. And for me, depending on the season that I was in, was what really determined where I took my career. I transitioned out of a CPG company, a very large CPG company, to move to Chicago because I was a single girl, a young girl who wanted to live in a big city.
Wow.
And so I quit what I thought was the most comfortable, safe place to be, to join an organization that I knew nothing about in terms of how to sell a sort of a nameless product and what to do. And I've done that a couple of times now for different reasons. I've also started a family. And so depending on where you're at in your life, it will determine what and where you decide to take your career. And so I use that as my measuring stick for what I go after, or in dealing with Ryan, what is presented to me and how I move around in that space of change, and what it can provide me that will allow me to both manage my career with my family life.
Wow. And have you had a chance to work with Ryan previously?
I have.
Oh,
very, very
yeah.
early on. Very early on. We were just talking about that right before the call started. Yeah, about 10, almost 10 years ago, I would probably say. So yes.
Wow. So based on that, I mean, what would be your advice to give somebody, like at this point in time, like they're maybe trying to advance in their career? What is that one thing you would advise? Let's say you back 10 years ago, you had that conversation with Ryan. What would you tell a person like to do? What is the next step? Your advice, because here we have a great collaboration already. You worked with Ryan previously, and that question can go to Ryan as well.
You always have to keep in mind what your anchor is at that moment. That's very important. I mean, you can be career savvy and driven all you want, but when I met Ryan, I just become a new mom. So for me, my family and my role as mom had to be equally, if not more important than my job, but my job is needed to take care of my family. So understanding what your anchor is and then pursuing what would support that would be the best instruction I could give in creating that narrative. And always, my theme will always be know when to sit still, know when to say this isn't for you, and be okay with that decision until the right opportunity comes along for you to get what you need to be happy and to be lucrative. I mean, let's be honest. So that would be
Absolutely.
it.
Ryan, anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, great answer by Sheely. When it comes to creating your narrative and how, like, one of the questions that was presented is a personal story that was a pivotal moment in your career. I'm one of the many, many people that I work with on a daily basis who sort of stumbled into what I do. In fact, when I graduated from college, I didn't even know that people got paid to recruit for people. Like, I didn't even understand that this was a profession. But there's a guy I follow on, he's a podcaster. His name is Scott Galloway. He has a few different podcasts, but one is called the Prof G podcast. And I recommend it to everybody because he gives very practical advice on a variety of matters. And one of the things that he always preaches, more geared toward people earlier in their career, is follow your talent instead of your passion. Find your talent, because when you find your talent and get really good at it, it can become your passion once people start leaning into you for advice, for counsel. And that's something that really relates to me because, again, I didn't know this was a profession, but what I really enjoy about what I do is the personal connection. And I think that, not to give myself a plug, but a lot of recruiters tend to be very transactional. But an important part of what I do is understanding each candidate I work with, each hiring manager, and not only what they're looking for professionally, but what they're looking for personally. I really appreciated Sheely's story about where she was in her life, what she was doing, and she was looking for a job, a career that was going to match what she needed on the personal side, and she wasn't going to compromise. And that what I help counsel people do is there are always ways to get there. And what I really enjoy, what I really connect with what I do is when I get that true win-win where someone finds a career that's fulfilling, a company that treats them well, gives them respect, gives them opportunity to prove themselves. And when the company benefits at the same time because they're investing in the person and they're getting a return on that investment. So that's why I've been doing what I've been doing for 21 years now.
I love that. Oh my goodness. Combining passion and then your talent and then maximizing on what God gave you. Go for it. Let's go.
Yeah.
Love it. Um, let's talk about those big, bold moves. So, Kathy, this next question will be for you. Can you describe that pivotal moment, that change in your career, whether this was new role, industry, project? I mean, what gave you the oomph, the power to make that switch? Because change is not easy. So, Kathy, what's your take on that?
So I'm going to tell you a little story, if you'll allow me. And I'm going to do a little setup for you so everyone can kind of get the feeling of what was happening. I was already a senior leader at an executive level, and I was touring with my boss, who was a senior vice president, and it was annual performance review time. And this leader scheduled time to tour with me. And then in the afternoon, we were going to talk about my incredible career. Where was I going to go? All the wonderful things I was going to do and how I was going to impact people. I spent weeks preparing, weeks, my notes, my files, all my research, everything that I've accomplished. I highlighted everything in bold and had tabs of all the great things we were going to talk about. The things, obviously, there were opportunities that I saw, and I was hoping that I could get this leader to share those things with me. Of course, I cover a very large territory, so we were meeting at a central location, so there was travel involved. Did our tour, things were fantastic, everything was set up. They met with clients, it was going well, pointed out things that were opportunities for the team. This leader then said, "Could you take me back to the train station? I'm going to take an early train." And of course, I started to get the wheels turning like, are we going to talk about the career path and my performance review? Went to the train station, sat waiting for the train, and out came a piece of paper with a diagram. There was a circle and a few boxes on it. And this leader said, "So, this is what I see. And this is where I think we should go next. I have to go. I'll catch up with you in a week or so." Of course, all of the things, as you're all thinking in your head right now that you're going through, ran through my mind. It was pouring rain. I got in the car, holding the steering wheel so tight, going, "What happened? How did this happen? I just don't see it this way." I'm calling everybody on the phone saying, "Tell me what happened. Where did I misstep? What's going on?" And so this is where the bold move came in. I've called a few people over the weekend. On Monday, I called this leader and I said, "I'm resigning.
Wow.
And I appreciate all that you have provided for me, and I'm going to move on to another opportunity." So that was the bold move. And of course, a little fear there because I did have a few things lined up, but it wasn't 100% guaranteed. Um, but it really was, in some instances, the defining moment for me. I definitely came upon a hurdle. I certainly looked at things very differently. And earlier on, we're talking with Shelley and Ryan about it, but really understanding what motivated me, what motivates me, and keeping the end in mind, right? I kind of had lost sight of that. I was so sucked in by what is everyone else thinking? What does everyone else see as this role's leadership instead of staying true to myself? So, uh, hopefully that was short
Wow.
enough, but that was my bold move. And obviously,
That is a bold move.
all
I have
things
never
working,
heard a story like this before.
it's paid off.
Wow. That's really bold. You got to have a lot of power and courage. And I'm sure that person was like, what just happened?
That's
Wow,
a
that
different
was
panel
a bold.
interview.
Yes. My goodness, what a story. Love that. Team, any other bold moves that we have in your pocket? Ryan.
Well, I was going to say, Kathleen's story, that was a great story, and it emphasized something that we always preach to our client companies are important. The number one factor in whether in employee retention isn't money. There are a lot of companies out there that think, hey, we pay you a good salary. Why would you want to leave? The number one factor as to whether or not a candidate will decide to stay with a company or leave is whether or not they feel valued. And it was a great example that Kathleen gave of, all the work you put in and just not feeling valued. And that's I think something that's often overlooked, and I don't understand why, because a lot of when employees resign, companies are flabbergasted. But if they go back and trace back those steps, they could trace it back to a moment like you experienced where you put all this work in, met at the train station. They're like, I don't care what you have to say. I thought when we were going over the rehearsal for this, what our run through for this meeting, I mentioned that big, bold moves is a great title for this section because the other part that resonates with me about Kathleen's story is it is a big, bold move. And doing what I do, I talk to a lot of people who've been on a similar career trajectory for 15, 20, 25 years who will call me out of the blue and say, you know what, Ryan, I'm just not feeling what I'm doing anymore. I just don't like it. I'm not passionate about it. And oftentimes it's not just about their company. It's about like they've been in sales and want to go into marketing or something like that. The best advice I can give someone who's looking to do something dramatically different yet has built up a lot of career equity in one particular area is to find an organization that's going to give you the opportunities to work cross-functionally, learn cross-functionally, work in a matrixed organization. Because when people come to me, they're looking to jump ship, and oftentimes I'll have to tell them, if this is your long-term goal, one, you need to be patient. Two, I can help you get there. But if someone's coming to me to hire someone in a sales, marketing, product development, finance, they want experience in that specific area. So if you're looking to do something dramatically different, the best thing to do is see if you can do it in your own organization. If your own organization is going to support that, and if they aren't, find an organization that will empower you and be patient. Make your motivations clear in the interview process and ask if there's a path to do that. But if they need you in a certain place first, just know that the end is more important than the beginning.
Wow, absolutely. I think when we get those stretch opportunities and we prepare ourselves for what's next, I think a lot of times we have to actually do the next thing we want to do already to be able to, jump that ship without that maybe delay or struggle. Sheely, big bold moves for you. I know you moved to Chicago, but I'm sure there's other examples.
Um, I would jump on what Ryan said. In the food industry, I've worked across multiple channels, and they've not been easy. They didn't get easier. I would say going into industrial and going into co-manning, it only got harder. But the benefit of that, to what Ryan said, is having an end game of being able to be diverse in what you do. The benefit of changing channels allowed me to learn a new set of skills, and it allowed me to pick up a new language in the way of business that I had not had before. And so when you think about, and what does that, just quickly, what does that look like in an example? When you start on retail, you're selling a finished good, you want a finished good price, right? When you move into industrial, you're selling by the pound and you're having to negotiate. In my case, it would have been like corn future contracts. So you're having to get into the weeds of pricing structures and future forecasting and things like that. And when you move into co-manning, you now have to learn operational functions, finance functions, yield loss. You're going to learn the entire organization just to make one sale. And so that takes time to be able to build those skill sets, learn the culture, learn what you need to do, in my case, just to get a sale. So, but it's a good, strong acumen to be able to have, because it makes you that much more, for Ryan, sellable, because you can almost go anywhere. I think I could probably do, project management. I don't just have to stay with sales. There's a lot of other things I have learned to do, and then I put it on my resume. So that's always the process. Get it, gather it, learn it, put it on your resume, and have it for when it's time to move.
Love it. Question for our audience using the chat. So let's make it interactive. Please list your bold moves so we can learn from everybody. Go big or go home, right? So please share your experiences for the bold moves in your current careers, or maybe stuff you would like to do in the future. Now we're going to transition to our stretching opportunities, learning opportunities. Let's kind of review what we can do to get us to that next step, next goal, next milestone. This next question will be for Kathy. So, Kathy, do you have any examples you could share how you actually stepped out of that comfort zone? Because I know we all love, being in a place that's familiar, that's, has a routine, right? But to grow, we have to step out of that comfort zone. So, Kathy, what are some of the examples you had in your career? I know you're a bold leader, so love to learn about that from your end.
So, thank you for the question. I have multiple ways in which I step out of my comfort zone. One, volunteering is a big one for me to get myself to where I can adjust to a different environment, a different group of people, or a different subject. Uh, and so I often volunteer, even if it's not something I say, oh, yes, I can contribute to that, and say, hey, maybe I can learn from somebody else and try to push myself there. Secondly, I know I didn't put it in my intro, but I am an adjunct professor and I teach in the hospitality world. And that certainly provides me with working outside of my comfort zone. Students are always evolving. There are students from all walks of life, and they certainly can challenge you, right? So I would encourage people that discomfort really can bring you to new and exciting ideas, new and exciting things. I know I also didn't mention it when we started the conversation, but one of the reasons for me joining FWA is, to learn from others. And so the first couple of months, I didn't really get too involved, just listening and kind of hearing what's happening. And, decided that, hey, listen, I want to raise my hand. Again, maybe not the most comfortable scenario that I'm in. But yeah, raise your hand and volunteer, and you never know what can happen. There could be exciting new connections, like we've met Ryan and certainly Shelley, and so and all of you. So that would be my recommendation.
Thank you so much for sharing, Kathy. I can connect to you and resonate with your response because I also train hospitality within the Avedra world. Learning, I think, is the most difficult part when you have a full-time job and trying to still learn. So you need to find best ways to kind of fit that in. But I am definitely connecting with you after the webinar.
Awesome.
Perfect. All right. So next question, I'm gonna give it to Ryan here. So Ryan, I know you have a lot of experience in many different areas, but how do you expand your horizons? I mean, currently you already maybe reached the pinnacle, or maybe you're still trying to get there. I mean, what is Ryan doing to get to that bigger gig, better
Yeah, I
deal?
haven't really had to, made a big bold move because I've been doing this for a long time. I'm a senior partner and I don't plan on going anywhere. But when it comes to stretching outside of your comfort zone, when I started recruiting, I was more focusing on mid-management level jobs, things like that. One area I stretched is when I started, and this was years ago, pursuing searches at the C level. And, there was a perception out there that, at the C level, you have to use a big retained search firm and all this stuff. But I would go out there and say, what if I were to give you the same search on a contingency? You give me 30 days, we share the risk, it costs you nothing. And I'm glad I did, because now we work on several of those searches and I retain most of that business. And when companies realize that there is a search firm willing to share the risk, but that was a bold strategy because my competitors were demanding a third of these huge fees up front. And had to go out there and say, I'll do it for free. Just give me 30 days. So that worked. And then what happened during COVID, and I'm glad I did this. COVID obviously was a very scary time. Nobody was hiring. It was our third lowest year on record. Phones weren't ringing. So I had to take on searches. Like, up until COVID, we pretty much just did sales, marketing, and product development. Stay in our lane, be a surgeon, like, know this. During that time, I had to recruit for what people needed. If you needed someone in finance, if you needed someone in operations, I had to get outside of my comfort zone. And I was always upfront that this may not be our primary area of expertise, but I've got nothing but time on my hands to go find people. And what it actually helped propel us into becoming more of a total solutions provider. So now I feel more comfortable taking on searches outside of what our core area of expertise is. And it also taught me the value of truly, again, partnering with our clients, understanding them, understanding the culture, who's going to be happy here, who's not going to be a fit. And that makes us a better long-term partner. But again, that's bringing in the human element, because if you just look at a job description and qualifications, that's only half the battle. Culture and fit, I've always argued, are more important. And once a company realizes that you get us, or a candidate realizes that you get me, they feel more empowered to work with me. And I might not know that if I didn't step outside of my comfort zone in those two key areas.
Wow. I mean, pandemic was this time where we all struggled. So you just demonstrated how you actually stretch that responsibility, find new opportunities, new pathways, and actually became, an expert in that, something that was uncomfortable, to moving forward and actually doing those type of stretch opportunities.
Sometimes you
Fabulous.
stretch by
That's the
choice.
word.
Sometimes you stretch because you have no choice.
Well,
But
go with the
you gotta
flow. Go
stretch
figure
either
it out.
way.
Yes, absolutely. Sheely, this next one will be for you. So life is busy, work is busy. How do we balance, the responsibilities of work, looking for new opportunities, advancement, family? I mean, how do you actually excel in this category? I remember talking with you a little bit before our main webinar here. What is that secret sauce that you have that you could share for our audience here today to still be able to thrive and balance everything?
Being persistent and work-life management. I would say, and this may help someone real quick that asked a question about what do you do? You've been looking for a role for eight months. I hope this help answers that as well. You have to be disciplined in what it is you want for your life. And the driver for that has always been, I come from a working class family, a single mom, and so who worked two jobs, and I was a latchkey kid, and and I knew when I became an adult, and I knew even more when I became a parent, that my number one thing was to be able to make as much money as I could and to be able to dedicate as much time to being a parent and raising my family as I could as well. And so that's where, in merging those two expectations, you have to be a good manager of time. You have to be hungry, which means you have to be committed to what you're trying to obtain. And you have to be able to be focused and not be distracted. And so I think for me, I have had agents of change that were voluntary a lot of times and some that were involuntary. And it's in those times that you have to work on you and you have to work on your goal, which is you have to work. But you still need to have time to manage the things that are important to you on the other side. It's never front and back. It's more like one's over here, one is over here. And so I think that, every season will look different, but being able to prioritize and going back to that anchor sentiment that I mentioned before, that will be kind of a guiding light. And so what does that look like in a process? You manage your day. If you're not working, or if you are working, the time in the day is still the same. You manage your day and you prioritize what is most important. If you're not working, you live on an 8-hour schedule. You put yourself on a schedule to search, to talk to recruiters, to update, to learn. You also better yourself. You go to the gym, you read a book, you pray, whatever you need to do. And then at the same time, you still have to keep searching. You could be 100 searches in. A lot of people say, I'm 100, I'm 50 in, and they get tired. You don't get to get tired. You get to keep going and keep putting a smile on your face and keep looking nice and keep showing up for yourself, for your family, and for your process. And it will pay off. I know, because I've done it. And so it's one of those things that put yourself on an 8-hour schedule, like a work day. You're going to go to the gym at 8. After you take care of the kids, you're going to go to the gym. Then you're going to submit resumes and talk to recruiters for 6 hours of that 8-hour time. And then you're going to do whatever you need to do for your family. You're going to end your day and you're going to be focused like you would if you were working. And it's the same process when you're working. You always want to, I love this expression, and I'm sorry for talking so long, but this is a really passionate thing for me. I heard something that said, I think it was Billy Porter who said, if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. And I know for me, I stay in ready mode for great things to happen, for adverse changes that could happen. I stay in ready mode. So that means I keep my resume together. I keep it clean. I keep my LinkedIn clean. I talk to all recruiters, even when I'm not looking. I will entertain all conversations just so that I'm in the loop in case I may need them later, even when I'm happy. And I continue to do all processes to make me a better person as a whole. And then I fold in more personal things as the time allows. And it will open up and it will be work, but you're worth it. And so that's kind of how I manage that process of going in and dealing with agents of change and creating a positive narrative for myself and getting to what's most important for my career is the money. I don't want to lie to anyone and tell you that I want to be the president or I want to, no, that looks different from role to role. And when I switched from public CPG companies went into private equity, it's a lot more work, but it's the culture is usually really good. And who knows what your title will be. I don't worry about titles as much. I worry about the job and what it will allow me to do in ways of impact and what I will gain from that. And the culture. Culture is very important for me. I want to be happy. And so those are the things that I weigh when I'm trying to create a big move, when I'm reacting to a change, or if I'm just keeping my options open to be ready for what lies ahead of me.
Wow, that is a bullet. That is a bullet that you
Okay.
just punched through the window here.
Outstanding. There's so much good advice in that. I really loved that. Two things I just want to kind of piggyback on that are one, I tell everybody if you're out of work, job searching should be your full-time job. You should be doing it 8 hours a day. You shouldn't slow down. So I love that. I tell that to everybody. In fact, everybody has a busy schedule. People have things going on in their life, but whenever someone is out of work and a hiring manager knows it and is trying to schedule an interview and the candidate who is in a job search is being difficult about when to schedule, that always looks bad 100% of the time. So if you can't make it, you can't make it, but you should be putting that as your, I'll say number 2 priority behind family, but it should be like a full-time job. Second, and this is where I said preach. We have so many people who aren't looking for a job who don't write their resume. I do a video on LinkedIn every year right around the holidays saying, reminder, I'm going to give you a homework assignment. We have a down week. Update your resume once a year during the holidays because so many people who have been in a job for 10, 15, 20 years all of a sudden find themselves out of work or unhappy and they have to go back and try to remember everything they did for the past 2 decades. It's so much easier if you clean it up just once a year. It's not a big ask. So great advice.
Love it. Kathy, anything to add from your end?
Well, I think we all are so excited by what Shalay said that we just don't even know what's next. That was fantastic information for sure. I will want to add a couple of things just from a standpoint of how you can keep yourself fresh. So very excited about FWA. I invited some of my team on. I just did a quick search and they've joined. So very, very fantastic about that because that's one way you can pay it forward, right? They just heard her speak and all the incredible things they're doing as they're building their careers and the things they're going to do. So very exciting. Well said.
Fabulous. Team, I want to thank all our panelists for their amazing contributions, advice, best practices, energy, and showing up to this event because this is a huge, huge help. I mean, I'm learning as I go myself, and there's a lot of people on this call today that are doing the same thing. So just key takeaways and reflections from our discussion again. Make sure you attend our FWA meeting. So there's webinars. You can join our LinkedIn page. Don't be scared to take those bold moves. Life is short. Go for the dreams you want. Do not ever let anybody dim your light and just go for it. You're worth it. Seek continuous growth. So again, whether this is LinkedIn Learning, FWA Learning, connect with us on LinkedIn. There's a lot of people that share their stories, their practices that you can grow. And again, this is a wonderful community. So I'm super grateful to be a part of it as well. Networking, learning. I mean, talk to people. That's all it is, right? So when we find those new skills, when we're trying to get the new experience, stretch ourselves, whether we want it or not. I think it's better if we have that, that foot forward where we actually want to stretch instead of being stretched because somebody told us to. It's easier that way. So just please continue joining our webinars. We probably going to open it up for questions because we still have a couple of moments here. So again, thank you, Kathy. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you, Sheely. You guys nailed it.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bravo.